What's up? Welcome in. Hoge Jahns with you one last time before our summer hiatus. The off-season program is over. We are here to recap it all. Adam Hoge, Adam Jahns. What's up, Johnsy?
Summer is finally here. It's 90 degrees in Chicago. Are you ready for your break? Do you get a break?
I do, but not for a few more weeks.
July.
I'm basically take most of July off until training camp starts. But, so we'll get some things figured out the next few weeks. We'll still be going strong on CHGO that entire time, whether I'm on those shows or not. So you got that to look forward to. But for us, we usually do take a little bit of a summer break, and we are going to be doing that, but not without recapping everything in this offseason program. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. You can follow the show at Hoge Jahns. You can find all our merch like we're rocking today. Johnsy's got the golf polo on. I got the quarter zip rolling today. All of that is at hoganjahns.com. Go check it out right now. But yeah, Johnsy, I'm looking forward to things calming down a little bit. We got Father's Day this weekend. We got the U.S. Open. Plenty of golf to watch. We got hockey. I guess the NBA Finals too. I feel like that's just going to be over real soon, though.
Looks like it.
Yeah. So yeah, we can get our minds off football for a little bit. Although, based on what Ben Johnson said yesterday, I don't think his mind's going to be off football very long.
No. I wonder how long he'll get away from Hallis Hall. I'm guessing not much. Like he'll be forced to take a week off by his family, which he should do. But I feel like the meetings are running longer. I feel like the attention to detail that he's kind of demanding from his assistant coaches is at peak right now. They're working hard at Hallis Hall, you can tell.
The way that answer started yesterday, he was basically asking, are you going to enjoy your time off here in the summer? And he's just like, well, we got to finalize the training camp schedule. We had a great meeting about that this morning. Like, you just tell that's where his mind was. Like the next thing when he got out of that press conference, step by step, day by day. But yeah, it is, in all seriousness, it's good to hear his family's coming into town this weekend after. I can't imagine 4 months away from your family, no matter what you're doing. That cannot be easy.
Well, he's got to get his annual Cubs game in with his family. I think he already had one, right? Like when he threw the first
pitch, yeah.
But now I think he's going to have his. Do you think he could go to Wrigley Field and hide, be incognito, not be noticed?
I don't think so.
I think he can.
Really?
Look how hard it is to find him on the practice field.
That is true.
So don't wear Bears gear. Just throw on a regular golf polo, put a hat on, a Cubs hat, sunglasses, and you're in. He's not like the new flukes out there rocking the new beard and the hairdo.
See, I found him at the Hawks game, though. This was like way back in March.
But was he trying to hide at the Hawks game? Was he in the suite with the Ben Johnson?
He did have a suite. He didn't. I don't think he had a jersey on, but he might have. I forget. I don't know. He might be able to. We kind of challenged him to that. I told him he's got to come out to one of these 120 clubs on a Friday because he said he likes to go to the bleachers.
He can hide in the bleachers.
Yeah.
He's not like Dan Campbell.
That's true. I don't know. Well, I think he's going to have to try it. See if then maybe he can get back to us on an answer on if it worked or not. Well, anyway, I hope he does get some legitimate time off as much as it's good to hear him dialed in on training camp already. Yes, everybody needs a mental break. I know we do. And even the head coach of the Chicago Bears does. So that's all coming up, and then it'll be a full go until, the Bears win the Super Bowl in February in Santa Clara.
That'd be nice. That'd be something to cover.
It would be. You know what? Let's just start with one playoff victory.
Let's just start by breaking down the offseason program.
Because you and I have never covered that.
True story.
As the show goes into season number 11. All right. So we got some some topics here to sort of recap the offseason program, kind of put a bow on it as we head into summer. We will start with this, Johns. The biggest question that was answered during the offseason program.
I'm trying to phrase this as a question. Will Ben Johnson be everything I think he can be, or will he offer glimpses of everything I think he can be during the offseason program? And I know this is an extremely layered question that probably requires multiple feature stories, but I'm looking for the passion, the fire, the tenacity that you heard about just in terms of his persona on the practice field. And I think we saw that. The way he can be demanding on the practice field. Like, these are all stories that we heard about Ben Johnson leading up to the offseason program. And I think we saw some of that. I know you noted some of it with the agitation question not too long ago. And I think we saw some of the demanding qualities of Ben Johnson when he's screaming faster at Caleb Williams. So, yes, I think some of the questions I had, like some of the things I wanted to see from Ben Johnson, have been answered. The way he carries himself on the field, the persona, the way he demands a lot from his players on the field in every single moment. I think I saw some of that. So, question answered if we're going that way.
I do agree with you that that's probably the biggest question. But to play devil's advocate, because I guess I would say is just if the question was, is Ben Johnson the real deal? Kind of simplify it that way.
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I was going to say is, like, we still need to see games. We still need to see how he reacts in a week-to-week environment when adversity strikes and all that stuff. I would say that my antenna is, I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but I'm buying it. If I had to buy or sell the excitement right now on whether or not he's a real deal, I would definitely buy it. I just don't know that we have a complete answer. So I'll put it this way, sort of coming off of what you just said. How about this is a big question I feel like was answered. Will Caleb Williams embrace that tough coaching? I think that answer has been answered.
You think so?
I think so. I think it's a yes. I think this was not a rocky, this was not a smooth offseason program for Caleb Williams with the book coming out and getting coached the way he was. And I thought that going back to that first OTA we watched in the Walter Payton Center, that was a choppy day. He was getting yelled at a lot. And then to contrast that to what we saw last week towards the end of minicamp, where Ben Johnson's screaming at him to go faster, and maybe 30 seconds later they're embracing each other. Like that I thought Caleb Williams handled the rocky waters of the book, the off the field stuff, the questions that came with that. If he really wanted to be a Bear, I thought he handled that all really, really well. Once he talked and addressed it all, I thought it was very, very good. And then everything we saw on the field over these few weeks, I didn't see a guy resisting that hard coaching. I think he said all the right things, and I thought his actions on the field all indicated that he will embrace that. So I think that was one of the biggest answers that I got out of the offseason program.
I want to see their relationship play out during the season when there's actual failure to go through. Like, there's failure in practice, but it's not like throwing an interception in an actual game. Like, he can't yell faster from the sideline. He just has to go through it faster during the game. And there's going to be moments where it's not going to be good. And I want to see how the relationship, like, the optimist in me is telling me that it'll still be positive, that you need to have those negative moments to have real growth. And I feel like that's the way they're going to embrace those challenges, those negative moments, those negative plays, those mistakes, even to the finest details of not going through the reads and getting the check down fast enough. I think that will be opportunities for growth, but I'm interested to see how it's all handled when there's losses and real failure in actual games.
Well, and that's fair too, because ultimately all the stuff in the regular season matters more than what we're talking about now. But let me spin it this way then. Because look, you and I covered an era where Mitch Trubisky went through a rocky rookie season, did not have the coaching he needed, and then they went out and hired Matt Nagy. And we heard, oh, yeah, Mitch, blah, 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 all the support. And then it kind of turned out that,
Flight simulator.
Once the dust settled, I don't know if Matt Nagy's belief in Mitch Trubisky was really as strong as he said it was when he took the job. So that leads me to this question. I don't mean to turn this into like, stealing this from around the horn as we go buy or sell. But I guess that show doesn't exist anymore, so we can't steal it. Are you buying or selling Ben Johnson's belief that he is portrayed in Caleb Williams? Because I think it's stronger. I think it's real. Like, even if it doesn't end up working, I don't think we're going to be covering a story 2 years from now where it was like, you know what? When Ben Johnson took the job, he didn't really believe in Caleb Williams.
See, I think Matt Nagy's belief was real in Mitch Trubisky to a point to where it changed in their year 2 together, where something changed in that training camp, where Matt Nagy started to feel and look elsewhere, that Mitch couldn't do all the things that he wanted to do. So buying or selling, yes, I'm buying it right now. I am. And maybe we're just scarred from what we've experienced and what we've covered before. Caleb Williams is a better quarterback prospect than Mitch Trubisky. There's just no denying that. But history says we should know better. I don't mean to go down that path. I don't want to go down that path right now. Right now, I'm buying the relationship. I'm buying Ben Johnson's belief in Caleb Williams. I'm buying that Caleb Williams wants to be coached hard by Ben Johnson. I'm buying that it could work. But I don't know if I'm buying the staying power quite yet because, well, it's still young in this storyline. Truth be told, it's June. Like, we need to talk about this in December when there's a full season almost played.
Well, that would be a good challenge, I think, to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and really the entire Chicago Bears organization, because in 2024, the theme of this podcast was we should know better. And that's what they need to get away from. They need to give us reason to stop saying that on this show. And I'm optimistic that we will not be saying that as much this regular season, but
see, I think the
paragraph is to say we should know better.
Like the other part of this conversation, the other question here is like, how much will Ben Johnson change and shift things to make things work for Caleb Williams? Because Matt Nagy didn't do that in year 2 with Mitch Trubisky. Like, certain things worked for Mitch, but they weren't. The offense wasn't built and tailored to those things. Like, I feel like I'm buying Ben Johnson's experience in tailoring things and working towards the strengths of his players. I don't know if Matt Nagy did that, and there's a lot of more to this conversation because Matt Nagy did not clearly have as much play calling experience, like offensive designing, schematic stuff that Ben Johnson has. Like, this is Ben Johnson's offense. Like, looking back at it, I think Matt Nagy tried to bring Andy Reid's offense here because that was his one system. Is it the one system he grew up in?
All right. Biggest question remaining after the offseason program.
Well, it is with Caleb Williams, and it's like, how fast will this click? Because as there were good moments in minicamp, and there were moments where he was getting yelled at. Sometimes it was not getting to his checkdowns fast enough. Sometimes it was not getting the play call out of his mouth fast enough in the huddle. So this is still very much a process, and Ben Johnson will tell you it is. He said as much Tuesday at Hallis Hall, that this isn't. They're far from done. They're not a finished product. There's a lot of work to be done, And I think we saw how much work needs to be done. And a lot of that's with the quarterback. So to me, like, when does this click? How long does it take to click? Like, when is enough? When is enough on Caleb Williams' plate from Ben Johnson?
Honestly, a perfect summary of everything you just said would be his 7-on-7 in the red zone yesterday. Interception, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Ian Wheeler ran the wrong angle on his route, so that was incomplete, and then interception. So, plenty of good in there. Obviously, don't want the interceptions, and then one play that was not Caleb's fault. So there you go. I mean, it just shows you the ups and downs. I think there were a lot of good signs, and you're always going to have some downs when you're trying to figure all this out for the first time, but that's fair. How long is this going to take to really click? Again, I'll just go in sort of a different direction, not to repeat the same answer. To me, it's the questions that we were asking yesterday after practice. What's the status of your top 2 draft picks?
You were so obsessed with this. Colston Loveland, I think Colston Loveland's on the right track. It's a good sign that he talked. Walking out to practice yesterday, I was a little bit later than everybody, doing some work kind of back at Hallis Hall. And there he was running, I would say, vigorously routes in different angles and cuts with the Bears training staff on fields 1 and 2, while the Bears practice on 3 and 4. And I noticed him last week heading to 3 and 4 while we remained on 1 and 2. So I think Colston Loveland, by my observations, on the right track. But I know you're very concerned about the whereabouts and what's going on with Luther Burden.
I don't know that I'm really concerned. I find it weird. We see Colston Loveland. We talked to him yesterday. When's the last time you saw Luther Burden?
Been a while.
I don't know. It's not. I don't know. I'm getting criticized for bringing this up when it's like as if this franchise doesn't have a long history of drafting injured players. But I think it's completely fair to bring up when your top 2 draft picks have not practiced since you drafted them, with the exception of Luther Burden being out there for rookie minicamp when that was not the full team. I think that is a fair, because even if we just forget what I'm saying, think about what Ben Johnson's answer was yesterday. And he gave a pretty stern, honest take on everything that you're missing when you're not out there. That's not me saying it. It's the head coach of the Chicago Bears saying it. So it's 100% a question that still remains because it didn't get answered. In fact, it just led to more questions with the Luther Burden stuff. So look, am I optimistic that they're both going to be out there for training camp? Yes. But this is less about me being like, are these guys MIA? Obviously, Colston Loveland's not. And being more like, okay, all these details, all this complicated offense stuff that we were talking about every single day in the eyes of the quarterback. Well, what about these rookies that have yet to go through it on the practice field? And how much is that going to set them back? I mean, I would think it'd be completely unrealistic at this point to expect either of those guys to be up to speed, full go, week 1, Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings.
Like, even then, the rookies. But yes.
Right, but Ozzie Trapillo might be.
Yeah.
He might be your starting left tackle. And he's going to have to play every
number
snap.
10 pick.
Yeah.
I think it's to the benefit of the Bears that they've built themselves a very good situation in the receivers room where Luther Burden doesn't have to be ready. This is even if he was healthy and he was struggling to come along a little bit. It's a good receivers room where he doesn't need to be leaned on heavily come week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. I think Ben Johnson will have plenty to work with, especially if Colston Loveland is included in that mix, which I think he will be.
I would actually argue the same thing for the tight end spot. I think, if Cole Kmet needs to play 2/3 of the snaps and Colston's only down in the 20s to start the season, that's completely fine too. Like they'll find ways to get around that. And there's another guy we might have to talk. We are going to talk about here in a second. A couple questions that might be in the mix too.
So, like, my final thought on this
Mm-hmm.
is I always give like new regimes and coaching staffs the benefit of the doubt on things. So right now, in my opinion, Luther Burden's hurt. He's dealing with a soft tissue injury, and he's expected to be ready at training camp. When he's not, if he's not, then I think some certain questions, more serious questions, come up.
Okay, that's fair. And maybe I might be making too big of a deal out of it.
I feel like there's comments already in our YouTube section right now, even as we're recording, being pre-written about it.
Yeah.
Tell Adam how you feel.
Kevin White.
Adam, the other.
Chris Williams. I'm sorry.
Something in your throat.
Yeah.
Bad Bears. Bad Bears draft picks.
Injured first round picks. Okay. This is I did this on CHGO yesterday. So I really wanted to get your thought on this, and I'll share mine for those that maybe missed it. But predict right now your training camp darling.
I'm going to give you two. Number 26, J.P. Richardson.
Yeah, that was mine.
Slot receiver. I believe he caught 2 touchdown passes or 1 touchdown pass yesterday from Caleb Williams. 2. I feel like he's going to be like one of those guys in like all drills. May not get you down the field, but come the red zone, he's the guy catching the touchdown passes, and he's the guy that everybody's going to be tweeting about because he's catching those touchdown passes. So I feel like he will be, well, your camp darling. And then on defense, rookie Major Burns. I feel like safety is a position that is very much on the verge of change. Or top 4 safeties, Adam. Top 4 safeties are all in the last year of their deals. That's Jonathan Owens included. That's Elijah Hicks, including him. Of course, Brisker and Byard are 2 starters. They're in. This is it. So Major Burns, the rookie with some potential from the big school, with the history of making some plays. I feel like once he gets that first interception, he's a player we're going to get a lot of questions about because everyone seems to know that the safety position is one where the depth is questionable and change is looming.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I was a little bummed because, I tried to get the Bears a guy. I put this in my Bears mock draft back in March. There was a wide receiver out of Eastern Washington, Eastern Washington, where they have that red field. Efton Chisholm, the third. And he went undrafted. He ends up signing with the Patriots and has been a big story this week because Drake May has been throwing him the ball a lot, and he's looked really, really good. And so that easily would have been the guy. But instead, he's going to be New England's training camp darling. And honestly, he might actually be factoring into that offense because they don't have the wide receivers the Bears do. He's got an easier path to the field, and it wouldn't actually shock me if he plays. So instead, the Bears have 5'11" out of TCU, J.P. Richardson, who he's shifty. He's got a little knack for getting open, and he seems to have good hands. So, yeah.
Also a punt returner.
Yeah. But John, the thing about this criteria is these are usually guys that end up making the practice squad and stick around and maybe even see some playing time every once in a while. Now, if that's the case on this team with the amount of wide receivers they have, that means injuries have struck or maybe he's legitimately their best punt returner. I don't know. So that'll be something to watch, I think, in the preseason. So it's sort of this is one of those topics that we're like kind of kidding around a little bit, but also you should probably know who these guys are because they might actually factor into the 53-man roster.
One of those touchdowns, Caleb Williams seemed very excited about. tight window throw into the middle where you need your slot receiver to work in that minimal space.
Yeah.
And he did.
Well, and then he had I don't know if you saw it from your angle, but the ball was just like slightly overthrown and he managed to like tip it back to himself and catch it and turn his body so like guard the ball from hitting the ground. It's pretty impressive, actually. So,
do you have a defensive one? You like my Major Burns pick?
I like your Major Burns pick. I don't think Ruben Hippolyte counts because he's a draft pick. There was a D. Who's that D lineman? Let me give you one. Keep an eye on number 93, Xavier Carlton, who's 6'6", and it stood out to me a couple times. And then another one I think is on offense, and that's the next guy we're going to talk about here as we transition to a different question. Is it time to take tight end Joel Wilson seriously?
2 touchdowns yesterday in practice, correct? Mm-hmm. Check your notes.
Yeah. I think it might have been more than that. I got 3. I got 1 in 7 on 7.
I missed 2 in the 7-1.
2 in the team drills, including one that was an absolute rope through the middle, kind of thrown, at the back end of the end zone near the goalpost. This guy was called out. First of all, he's been making good catches every single practice. Then he gets called out by the head coach last week as somebody that has stood out. And then, granted, yesterday was a practice where half the team's missing and it's mostly young guys, but he kind of took on that role as the go-to tight end and looked really, really good. So you look at the profile here. He's an undrafted player who's bounced around. But early on in his career, he failed his physical after originally signing, I think, with the Saints coming out of the draft 2 years ago. Then I want to say, went to Buffalo. I don't have this in front of me, but I've done some of the research on it because I originally looked at this guy when I did my roster pyramid. So let me put it like this, Johns. This is one of the few guys I've already moved up my roster pyramid that I did before the offseason program started. So I had Joel Wilson, number 85 of 91 players. And I had him under a category in the 90-man roster filler, which was medical/character flaws. Now, it's not character flaw with Joel Wilson, let me be clear. But the medical side of this was this guy failed a physical coming out of the draft. He had dealt with some injuries where he wasn't getting playing time, and it's why he was bouncing around practice squads. Well, I haven't seen any sign of that being a problem. The Bears signed this guy halfway through last season off the Giants, after the Giants let him go. So he's been here for a minute. He was in Hallis Hall most of last season. Been with the team in the offseason, now goes through this offseason program. So if he's healthy now, and actually sort of in a position to develop and be taken seriously, which was the original question here, I have already moved him into a higher category of somebody who has the ability to move up to be a backup/special teamer on this team. So I guess answering my own question is yes, we need to take Joel Wilson seriously, at least more seriously than I was admittedly taking him a month ago when I did my roster pyramid.
He was a quarterback in high school in Petoskey, Michigan. Ever been to Petoskey, Michigan? It's beautiful up there.
Is that on the lake?
On the top of the mitt. Very top.
Like UP?
Like no,
not
UP.
Gotcha.
The mitt. Yes, not the UP.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful up there. Not too far from Traverse City. When you're singled out like that, it's notable. Now everybody's watching you, even though we're all taking note, and 86 is making catches. So for me, and at least Kevin Fishbane, we have our annual 53-man roster predictions that come out post off-season programs coming out soon, maybe either later this week or Monday. And included in that top 53 or first 53, I should say, is Joel Wilson. If this was Matt Eberflus's team, maybe they take the extra safety or the extra defensive back. But since this is an offensive-minded head coach in Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson is talking about you being a very good player in camp, then Ben Johnson's going to keep you on his team. He's just been open. I'll simplify it that way. He's just been open and making catches throughout the offseason program. I want to see what it's like with the real pads on, real contact. And he's got to obviously earn his keep on special teams, but he's been impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy you want to circle on these preseason games to kind of keep an eye on. Because Pat, I have no idea if he can block at this point. So I want to see that. How many tight ends did you guys have?
4.
So with Durham Smythe?
With Durham Smythe.
Because I don't want to create a roster controversy here, but
it's a lot of tight ends.
Right. And it's one of those things where if Joel Wilson keeps this up, do you get nervous if you're Durham Smythe?
Oh, yeah.
Now they have a history. He goes all the way back to Miami when Ben Johnson was there. I think Ben Johnson was there his rookie year. So there's a little bit of a connection there, but just something to keep in mind as an August storyline.
But if Joel Wilson, the former high school quarterback, develops into a capable blocker, then maybe Durham Smythe should be a bit worried.
Yeah. It's probably too early to know for sure, but just something to...
But to answer your question, yes, I'm buying some of the hype.
Okay. Last thing I have here, although we might end up doing 2 of these because I might come up with another one on the fly. Little game we're inventing called Excited, Worried, or Hesitant. It's very extravagant and thought out. Excited, worried, or hesitant. Plug these 3 players into those categories. Rome Odunze, Jerron Dexter, and Austin Booker.
This is a tough one because of Odunze and Dexter. So the rule here is they only get one description. That's it. Okay.
You want me to go first?
No, I'll go. I'm going to go excited Rome Odunze. Hesitant Jerron Dexter. And worried Austin Booker.
Okay.
I'm excited about the potential for, production, big plays, touchdowns, 25-yard catches, a lot of things, end rounds. Rome Odunze is going to be a weapon in Ben Johnson's offense. He's excited about that. Caleb Williams is excited about that. Everyone's excited about that. Dexter seems to have a better fit, or he seems to be a better fit for Dennis Allen's defense. So I'm excited for him, but at the same time, let's get the pads on. Let's see it. With Booker, he gets the worried description because why is Dominique Robinson being highlighted and commended by Ben Johnson and he's not? So if I'm Austin Booker, it's time to get to work. It's time to be a little bit worried, a little bit motivated about my place on this team.
Yeah, I agree with you on Booker because honestly, we just haven't seen much of him. Like I could go through my notes in the last 4 weeks. I don't know. I wrote down 94 a single time. From a length standpoint, he fits sort of the Dennis Allen mold, but he's a lot lighter. So he's long. I don't know if he's big enough. And so and
it's different with Robinson because Robinson's very close to that. I would say he fits it, probably minus 10 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, Dom Rob's got at least 10 pounds on Booker. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's actually a little bit more. They're listed 8 pounds apart, but I don't know if I fully believe that. I'm actually reverse your other 2, though. I am going to say I'm excited about Jerron Dexter. It's a guy I've been somewhat critical of at times because, but it comes back to what you just said, fit. I did not think he was a great fit in the last defense. I didn't see it as a 3 technique who could get off the ball and get upfield. We heard it last week from Billings. He's like, we're not slanting as much. It's more of a read type defense, which is what he did more of at Florida. Now it was a different scheme, but I think this scheme fits him better. I also think moving inside to the 1 technique where he's been working more is a better fit for him. And I know that not everybody has agreed with me. I actually, Corey Wooten gave me some pushback on that on draft night. This past draft night, I think when they drafted Shamar Turner and we were talking about the D line. But for me, with my eyes, that's what I'm excited to see Jerron Dexter in this role. I'm already, even without pads, feeling like he is in a better, more comfortable position that suits his talent better. Because there's no question there's talent there, there's size there. So that actually gets me excited. I think he is in a better position to have success and live up to that billing as the number 2, or I'm sorry, the 2nd round pick that he was a couple years ago. My hesitancy on Rome Odunze is not necessarily like, that's why I'm not worried. I'm not putting him in that category. Just not quite as dominant in some of these 7-on-7s. There's been flashes. There was a diving catch last week. Like yesterday, I thought like Caleb threw the ball to Rome right away on the 7-on-7, and I'm just looking at the talent out there on the field. I'm like, this is where your number 1 overall pick and your number, he was 9 or 10. I always forget. 10, right? Regardless, 2 top 10 picks should dominate a practice where half the team's not there. And then that was pretty much it. So I'm just a little bit hesitant. That's all. And part of it is the expectations, I think. To me, and my own expectations. I think Rome Odunze coming out, I mean, everybody knows how excited I was about it. I think has all the talent in the world to be a number 1 wide receiver. I still think that. I'm just not seeing enough of it yet. So that's where the hesitancy comes from.
Who has more catches this year? Moore or Odunze?
See, I would still lean towards DJ Moore.
Okay. Now, who has more yards?
I think I would still lean towards DJ Moore.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to, I think from what I've seen from this offense so far, they're going to want to quickly get the ball in the DJ Moore's hands and yet let him pick up yards after the catch. Who has more catches? Who has more air yards in their catches? I would say without a doubt, Rome Odunze. And he might end up having more touchdowns. How about that?
Okay.
That wouldn't shock me.
I'm buying their belief in Odunze, and that also extends to Antoine Randall L., who, when describing that draft class not too long ago, said he had Odunze as his top receiver, which was obviously that's with Marvin Harrison Jr. and with Malik Neighbors.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not selling any of my Rome Odunze stock yet. Just that's why we're playing the game. Excited, hesitant, or worried. Should we do one more? See if I can come up with one on the fly. All right, let's do Dio Odangbo, DeAndre Swift, and I don't know. Do you have a good one?
Jaquan Brisker.
Jaquan Brisker. Okay.
This is a good one. Now, this is a tough one. Again, the rules say they get 1 description each. Mm-hmm. Excited, hesitant, and worried.
And these rules are bounded by law. Very important rules.
Yes. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know that I would have said this a month ago. I think I'm excited about DeAndre Swift. I think I'm just excited to see him operate in an offense where I just feel like the coaching and Ben Johnson is going to be a little bit more aware of whatever limitations, and he obviously pushed back on that idea last week. He didn't want to hear about any of his limitations, and I get that. He should be a confident man and player, and good for him. But I just have more confidence in this coaching staff to use the running backs in a way that they should have been used better last year, and not ask them to do things that they're not great at. And DeAndre Swift still has a lot of ability to hit home runs, get explosive plays in the running game. And I think that Ben Johnson, using what he has right now, will take advantage of that. So I am actually excited about DeAndre Swift. I am hesitant about Jaquan Brisker because I want to be excited. Again, that player, that exciting safety, he's been out there. We've seen it in OTAs. You know, if I don't mean this as an insult at all, it's just a matter of because there's no contact. But if like the flag football Olympics were starting this year, like I would love to see Jaquan Brisker on the USA like gold medal team, because I just think like it would be insanely entertaining. He would make a ton of plays, but I'm hesitant, obviously, like I think everybody is, about the contact, about what it looks like when the regular season comes and he's got to make those hits. And he said it himself. He's not going to be hesitant to get in there. And I believe that. And I like that. But that's also why I'm hesitant about the result of that.
So Odangbo, you're worried about?
Yeah, I'm worried about Odangbo. Same thing.
We didn't see him during veteran minicamp, so that's a reason. So Odangbo is my hesitant.
Okay.
I'm okay with the signing. I like that he's a former second-round pick, looking for a more prevalent role, and Dennis Allen's going to provide it. But at the same time, it was Dominique Robinson with the starters, while Odangbo was a spectator during veteran minicamp. So let's see what things are like with the pads on. Now, he is a starter, but I need to see more. I'm worried about Jaquan Brisker, and this has more to deal with just a player who had a really bad concussion, who was out a lengthy period of time. I think being worried about his well-being is I don't know, looking at this in a human lens. There's football and there's humanity. This is a player that dealt with a serious injury that we know has consequences beyond this year of his life. I respect his decision. I know and love football. I get why players play. I love the game myself. My sons play. But when a player at this level has this history, I think it's fair to be a bit worried about his well-being as the hits add up. I'm excited about DeAndre Swift too. I think he's excited because he knows he's the number one guy. He knows he should be on the field for the majority of the downs, even third down. And I want to see what Ben Johnson can do with him. He was productive as the number 2 back 4 years ago, when Jamal Williams was the number 1 back in Detroit. So he doesn't have like the running style, that physical running style that Ben Johnson likes out of his backfield. It's just not his game. But to your point, and I agree with your point, that I think Ben Johnson will, again, tailor things to what Swift does well. And we'll try to lean on Monangai and Roshan Johnson to get those gritty yards when he can.
Yeah. See, so, I don't think he's afraid of physicality in the run game. It's almost like a quarterback not understanding NFL open. He doesn't. I don't think he sees NFL open gaps to run through.
I think he's looking for the home run too much.
Yeah, so I don't think it's because he's like afraid to run through the tackles. When there's a gap that's this big in the NFL, man, you got to hit that. And even if it means just take it 6 yards, 6 yards is great. Take it, So I think there's that. And then I think sometimes I'd like to, there's just, how many close calls are there where it's just like, man, you should have run through that tackle.
No, I think you and I have noted many last year.
Yeah. So there's just that part of it. Like, just to compare him to the Bears running back before that, yeah, David Montgomery, like that was his contact balance was one of his huge strengths. So But I that being said, if I'm looking at those two limitations, I think Ben Johnson is going to find a way to make that work. Especially when you throw in Roshan Johnson and Kyle Monangai and some of the other guys that they can use.
It's almost like a reverse here, where the Lions have relied on those physical backs, Jamal Williams and David Montgomery, to kind of set the tone. And then you have those complementary backs. Like this time, almost the complementary back is the one setting the tone, while you bring in the physical guys to clean things up. I'm kind of interested to see how Ben Johnson has this play out.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, that was a fun little game. Good way to close out the offseason.
All right, worried, hesitant, and excited. Pat Finley, Chris Emma, Kevin Fishbane.
Ooh. I think I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited for Chris Emma.
I'm excited that I hear him on the radio so much now.
Yeah,
I'm like really happy for him.
He's getting more opportunities. He's covering the Cubs. The Cubs are having an exciting summer going on, so he's not going to be sleeping here in the summer.
Right they are, Adam Hoge.
Yeah, that's fine. Good for them. Please win a World Series. We could use that here at CHGO. Any of our teams that want to play better, that would be great.
City would like it, Adam.
Yeah. Like even the Chicago Sky, step it up. I don't know what's going on there, but you guys aren't playing well. So figure that out immediately. So if the Cubs want to keep winning, that'd be great. And I'm excited for Chris Emma. He's also very excited about his Notre Dame Fighting Irish this fall. So I'm excited. I'm hesitant about Fishbane right now. He's been struggling in our golf pool that we're in. He's got Scotty Scheffler going this weekend in the U.S. Open. I think that's a good call. It's chalk, but it's a good call. I'm gonna go with John Rahm, but I'm a little hesitant about his performance. And then Finley, I'm just worried because his clothes just seem to get more and more extravagant every time out there at Hal's Hall. So just, I don't know how many different colored Padres hats exist in the world, but he's got every single one of them.
He does have a nice hat collection.
Is that fair? I don't know.
It's fair. We had a little fun with that one.
Try not to get in trouble there. All right. We do have a fun question on CHGO today. Someone asked which beat reporter was most checked out for summer break yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Who'd you pick?
Well, I would have said you, but then I realized that you were clearly doing some things.
I was working, man.
You were working. I don't know. Biggs wasn't even there, but I don't know what the reasoning was there. So I don't know if that counts or not. And then actually, I thought people were dialed in for the most part. It's a hard. Finley and Weeder were still battling it out over their questions. Finley chased Ozzie Trapillo out the room to get some housekeeping question done.
He did.
Like, you gonna ask him what vacuum cleaner he uses? Like,
he announced the housekeeping question. Everybody kind of chuckled.
You know what? Maybe I'm gonna say my answer for CHGO. There's a teaser.
Oh,
there you go. I don't want to steal that question.
See, I would be a good answer because I was kind of standing off to the side, but as everyone's soon realized, I was there with a purpose, with a very good reason. Lurking in the shadows, Adam Jahns.
See, I might have to go with somebody who already took a vacation, who pulled in Adam Jahns and missed minicamp.
Very good.
That might be my answer.
Very good.
There was a little too much Disney World talk yesterday, not enough football. You know what I'm saying? Not sure the mind was all the way back from Orlando yet.
Yeah, he's still breaking in.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody. It's we're on what I would like to call the general manager calendar, which is really like training camp starts, and then you really run through the draft. And people think like every time the Bears season ends, the regular season, people are like, "Oh, you glad it's over? You get to relax." It's like, no, I don't get to relax until June. So
then our summer break's shorter than everybody else's because in the middle of July or 3 weeks in the July, here's training camp.
Yeah. And I like training camp, but also, yeah, the realization that summer is over like a month and a half before it really should be. Kind of, we're not sitting here to complain. What I'm saying is we appreciate everybody that kind of understands that grind that goes on from really report day of training camp through the following mini camp ending 11 months later, which is why we take the time off here the next few weeks and month, whatever it ends up being, to spend time with our families, because they put up with a lot while we deal with the grind. So I'm sure people will tweet and ask what the hell's going on. Everything's good. Just gonna hang out, enjoy summer a little bit, and come back completely recharged for what should be a very, very exciting season, entertaining season. A lot to be excited about in 2025, I think. Even if we're not necessarily talking Super Bowl, I will be shocked if we're seeing any type of 10-game losing streak. I'll put it that way.
One could hope. One could only hope.
I'm not even sure we're going to see a 3-game losing streak. How about that for a bold prediction on June 11th?
I take that too.
Yeah. So a little bit of optimism as we head into the summer. But in the meantime, make sure you're following Hoge Jahns on Twitter. We'll keep you updated there. We'll probably throw some content out in the meantime too. Check out our Instagram. Our producer Katie Langen's been awesome since taking over for Kent late last season. So we'll keep her busy. We'll throw some videos and some content out in the meantime on those channels. So check it out. You can follow us at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Although honestly, I don't know how much we'll be tweeting over the next month.
I've already deleted it off my phone.
Yeah, you do that.
It's so healthy for you.
Well, it is. I got hopefully at least 3 more hockey games to live tweet. And I don't know.
You could just watch it.
I think there's only 3 tweets the other night. That's not bad. I don't know. I like interacting with people, Johns.
So do I.
Not read the comments. That's what's actually nice about live tweeting hockey. Nobody yells at me.
You just do what you do.
Nobody's like, "Oh, you're too worried about Luther Burden. You're an idiot." Which I'm sure I'll get after this show.
You know what? Next time, was it Game 4 is coming up? Is it tonight? Yeah, it is tonight.
No,
it's
I don't know. No, today's basketball. I don't know why can't we just go every other day? Why do we have to have these?
Yeah, you get the random 2-day breaks in there.
I don't like it.
The travel breaks.
If the hockey series goes Game 7, it's not till next Friday.
But you know what? It's not easy to get from Sunrise, Florida to Edmonton.
It is if you're a chartered
but not airplane. Not for everybody else. Although back in my Stanley Cup final covering days, there used to be a media charter you could like get in on. But that means yes. But that also meant you're not going home. So when I used to cover Stanley Cup finals that didn't include the Blackhawks, I would stop at home for a day or for a night.
Oh, in between games.
And then head back out, as opposed to flying. I think it was Vancouver and
Boston.
Boston. They had a media charter.
Did you cover that whole series? That was a hell of a series.
I did cover that whole series.
Did you riot in Vancouver?
I was present. I remember I was present. The following morning, I feel like these are still go back my old Twitter page, old Twitter page, my current Twitter page. If you scroll back, no, it's there. They're all on there, like pictures of the damage in Vancouver after the hockey riots, after the Vancouver Canucks lost Game 7 to the Boston Bruins.
That was crazy. That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's a cool series that you covered. I didn't know they had a media charter. I'm jealous.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. especially if you're trying to get to Edmonton. Because from what I hear, you cannot get a direct flight there from anywhere.
No, Chicago.
Well, there's got to be a direct flight from somewhere, but
yeah,
otherwise you wouldn't get there.
Yeah. From Saskatoon. Also another town I've been to.
You've been to Saskatoon?
I've been to Saskatoon.
What, for curling?
No, I'm thinking of a different hockey town.
Regina?
No, I have not been to Regina. I think I've been to Saskatoon.
Isn't that where? Isn't Saskatoon where Akeem Hicks played?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different town. Maybe not. I'll have an answer for you in 4 weeks, everybody.
Yeah. We'll get back to you in late July.
Let me go through my archives.
Don't hold your breath.
The Blackhawks played some random preseason game in some small town in Canada. And this is during their Stanley Cup days, where we took the media charter there because there was no the media charter, the Blackhawks charter there because there was no way else to get there. I want to say it was Saskatoon. Anyway, we'll see y'all later.
Yeah, great. We'll leave you with that. Enjoy your summer, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.